What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic: why does Blue Blood, Fannin, and the LDBC want Errol Spence to get a tune-up for Crawford, but not for Ugas? Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life for riches, huh? That life for riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing. All right, so a lot going on right now in the welterweight division, as we all know. A lot of news been going on lately about Crawford, Spence, Ugas. So things are shaking up in the welterweight division. So, as you all know, I did a video recently where Errol Spence was cited. Okay, that was the hair. He was cited at his underground bunker. He got caught out there. So, that was a video we did recently, and we talked about the fact that Errol Spence was, running away from Crawford because Crawford was looking for him high and low, under the water, above the, in the air and on the land, and he couldn't. No one could find Spence. But lo and behold, out of nowhere, Errol Spence showed up, and he showed up with an Ugas fight. Okay, so Crawford was calling Spence, Crawford was calling out Errol Spence. Errol Spence was missing for several days, to the point where one of his fans, probably one of those commentators on YouTube, they put out a fake tweet that Errol Spence had responded to Terence Crawford, but that was not the case. As it was found out later that the tweet was a fake. So, Errol Spence was basically missing in action. Nobody knew where he was, and Crawford was going around calling him out, calling him out of his name and everything. So now, Errol Spence surfaced, and he surfaced with a fight with Ugas in March. Okay, so you see, people are calling him out to fight Crawford. Everybody's calling for the Crawford fight, right? Which they've been doing for years now. This has been going on for years. And Errol Spence, never mentioned once in his whole life that he wants that fight. He always talks around it, a lot of slick talking, and he can go up and fight this guy or that guy or whatever. But he never really ever accepted the fact that, I want to fight Crawford. He never said that. So now, with all the expectation out there, his fans were getting despondent because he wasn't responding, and they was making fake tweets and trying to, to help Errol Spence out. All of a sudden, Errol Spence shows up, and instead of saying, "Oh yeah, I want to fight Crawford," he announces the Ugas fight. Okay, well, that's not a bad fight, really. If you want to, be truthful about it, it's a pretty good fight. The problem though is that fight could have waited until next. Why not? Why is he not fighting Crawford now? Why? I mean, it's been. You see, the problem is this. It's been 3 years since Crawford been calling out Spence, and Spence has been making excuses after excuses for not making that fight. That fight could be made at any time. Okay, that fight could have been made at any time in the past 3 years, but Errol Spence continually makes excuses to duck that fight, and now he's ducking the fight by unifying with Ugas. You see, I mean, this is the thing about Errol Spence that people gotta understand. Errol Spence is the greatest ducker that has ever lived, or that has ever put on boxing gloves. He's a consummate ducker. Okay, he's a ducking expert. So only Errol Spence could have pulled off something like what we see now. Only Errol Spence can unify and duck at the same time. The guy is amazing. That's all I can tell you. This is amazing. Errol Spence is an amazing fighter. A fighter that can duck and unify at the same time. What do you see that at? But this is what's going on. Okay, so Errol Spence escapes from Crawford against, Errol Houdini Sprint. We call him Houdini and call him Errol Sprint. So yeah, so this is what's going on. So, here we are again, so now people gotta wait now to see if Crawford is gonna wait to see what's gonna happen next. But I just want to say this before I go any further. A lot of people, and I've been out there talking about this fight for a while now, and a lot of people talk about this fight. But I just want to say one thing, that I don't really think that Errol Spence is going to fight Crawford, even though I'm hoping that happen, and I'm trying to work towards that. We talk about this and we talk about that, but all I can tell you is that I really don't believe that Errol Spence is going to take this fight. Okay, with Crawford, I think he's going to duck. And I think what's going to happen is that he's going to unify with Ugas and then claim that he's undisputed because he has all 3 belts, or claim he don't want the next belt, and he's either going to retire or he's going to move up to 154 or maybe even 160, who knows. But I think that's what's going to happen with Errol Spence. I don't think he's going to fight Crawford no matter what the fans say. And, if he hasn't fought Crawford in 3 years, I don't see any reason why he's going to fight him now. And as we can see with all these shenanigans that he's pulling, all these duck moves that he's making, it goes without saying. People, I think we need to be realistic about this whole situation, okay? I don't think the fight is going to happen. But I'm still hoping for it, okay? I'm still hoping for it. But like I've always said, if the fight does happen, though, the only way it's going to happen is that Errol Spence is dragged into the ring with Crawford kicking and screaming against his will the whole time. That's the only way this fight is going to happen between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. It's not going to happen any other way. We're going to have to drag Errol Spence into the ring because that's the only way he will ever get into the ring with Terence Crawford. And those are facts. Okay? So, yeah. So, all right. So, the fight, he's successfully, Errol Spence has successfully ducked Crawford for the time being. He escaped again. As like I said, Terence Crawford was hunting him down, high and low, and on land and on sea. And when he finally caught up to Errol Spence, there's Errol Spence's bunker right there. He found him there at entrance. And once he found him, Errol Spence announced the Ugas fight. So here we are. So Errol Spence is going to fight Ugas. So we could talk about that fight because that's not a bad fight. Okay. Now, one thing I can tell you is that Errol Spence, Blue Blood Sports, Phantom Boxing, the LDBC, they are happy as a pig in mud right now. Okay. They've been jumping for joy ever since Errol Spence announced the Ugas fight. They've been running around, jumping up and down, and doing backflips and high fives, and because why? Because Errol Spence has successfully escaped Crawford again. Okay, now we're gonna talk about this Crawford and Errol Spence situation. In terms of this whole tune-up thing that Blue Blood Sports and fans have been calling for, but we're gonna talk about that later. But so yeah, so they've been jumping for joy, okay, because Errol Spence has successfully evaded Crawford again by announcing the Ugas fight. So they're of course they're all for this fight. Okay, everybody's we need to have this fight. Ugas Spence is clean up inside of the street. That's their talking point. But we all know it's a duck. But I'm glad this fight is happening. Okay. And the reason I'm glad is that I'm glad for Ugas because Ugas wants this fight, okay, and he deserves it, okay. So he just beat Manny Pacquiao. He deserved to have this fight. So I'm glad to see that this fight is happening. The only reason I'm glad to see this fight happening, is because I think Ugas deserves a shot, okay. He's been chasing Spence almost as long as Crawford has been chasing Spence. They've both been chasing Spence, and Spence been maneuvering and escaping and ducking and diving the whole time. So I'm glad that Ugas is gonna get a chance, and I think that Ugas, a lot of people out there underestimate Ugas, you know, especially the Spence fans and the Bluebird Sports and the fans, because they think that Errol Spence is going to beat Ugas. That's their mentality, which is why they're glad for the fight, because they wouldn't be glad for the fight if they thought, just like they're not glad for the Crawford fight. They don't want that fight, okay? And if that fight does happen, they want Errol Spence to have a tune-up. But you don't hear them calling for a tune-up in the Ugas fight. You don't hear Bluebird Sports doing a whole video about, oh, we need to have a tune-up. We can't go in there and fight Crawford like that because, you know, he needs a tune-up. He just come out of a horrific accident and... So, that's Bluebird Sports talking about the fight with Crawford and Spence. You know, Spence needs a tune-up. But wait a minute. Why doesn't he need a tune-up to fight Ugas? It's still the same horrific accident he's coming off. It's still the same, you know, time off that he's been off for so long without fighting. So what's the difference between Spence fighting Ugas and Spence fighting Crawford? Why does he need a tune-up for Crawford but not one for Ugas? Well, I think you guys out there know what that's all about. Again, that's all about the Spence Protection Brigade. You know, these guys are trying to protect Spence from Crawford. They've been doing it for years now, and they continue to do it, and it keeps getting exposed daily, day after day after day. So we see the double talk, all right? So you don't hear them calling for any tune-up now for Spence because he's going to fight Ugas, and they think that Ugas, he can beat Ugas, so they're glad for that fight. But they make excuses. You don't hear anybody talking about 60-40. You hear Spence coming out in the public, you know, talking about how much he wants to pay Ugas? No. Ugas said he wants 50-50. Okay, he said that a year ago. And ever since he said that, it's been silence. Nobody ever said, Spence didn't come out and say, nah, you're not getting 50-50. He didn't come out and say that. Just like he did with Crawford. And he didn't come out and say, Ugas is getting 70-30. Okay, he didn't come out and say none of that. No negotiating in the public when it comes to Ugas, but he constantly negotiates in the public when it comes to Crawford, which is why you know he doesn't want to fight with Crawford, because as they say, when you negotiate in the public, that's just a surefire sign that you don't want to fight. And this is what Spence has been doing for years now, negotiate with Crawford in public. But he's not mentioned nothing about Spence. There's no talk, not even from his fan, not from Bluebird Sports, not from fan. They're not talking about, oh, well, you know, Ugas haven't fought nobody. Well, they can't say that because Ugas just fought Manny Pacquiao. But again, at the end of the day, when you compare Ugas's record to Crawford's record, I mean, you know, it goes without saying, Crawford has a much better record. Nothing against Ugas, because I think Ugas is a great fighter. But it's just the facts. Just like how, you know, Errol Spencer's record doesn't measure up to Crawford, neither does Ugas' record. Not many people in the welterweight division can measure up to Crawford. None, actually. Except for Sean Porter. And Sean Porter, he retired Sean Porter. So, more than, you know, for the most part, you know, Crawford had the best record in the welterweight division. You know, probably almost in boxing itself. I mean, this is why he's number one pound for pound, you know, according to many people's list, and Errol Spence is not. So this, you know, these are just common sense facts, okay? Regardless of what the man fans and the nut huggers and the Bluebird Sports and fans are out there talking about. You know, these guys don't talk facts; they talk foolishness. So they're not calling for a tune-up now. No tune-up needed with Ugas, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on Ugas. Ugas is going to surprise a lot of people. I would think, just like he did against Sean Porter. He surprised a lot of people in that fight, because according to what I can see, that fight he actually won that fight. You know, even regardless of what the judges said. So, you know, people are underestimating Ugas, okay, and I think it's a big mistake. You know, these guys, a lot of people out here, they don't really respect Ugas for what reason, I don't really know. I mean, Ugas is a great fighter. I mean, you saw what he did with Manny Pacquiao, you know what I mean? And I think that Ugas, after winning that fight with Manny Pacquiao, I think his confidence is in the stratosphere right now. I think you know, his confidence is way up. And why wouldn't it be after such a performance he did against Manny Pacquiao? It was a great performance, okay? And so I think Ugas is gonna be hard to beat at this point. I mean, he has a title. It's something he's been working for his whole life, okay? And he finally got it through all the trials and tribulations that he had to go through, which if many boxers had went through what Ugas went through, they would have gave up and quit boxing. But Ugas continued on. That just goes to show you that his mentality, he has a strong mind, okay? This guy has a strong mentality, okay? And, you need a strong mentality in boxing. And I think that Spence is going to be very surprised, and so will a lot of Spence fans. They're going to be very surprised at how Ugas is going to perform in this fight. I think he's going to perform great, and I think he might even beat Spence, okay? I mean, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be able to do it. He got the skills, okay, to be able to do it, okay? These guys are more evenly matched than people might think, okay? So we're going to see how the fight turns out. But even though it's a duck, I'm still looking forward to the fight because it's a great fight, okay? Like I said, and the main reason I'm looking forward to because, Ugas got his shot. And that's a great thing for Ugas to get his shot. He deserves a shot, okay? He's been through a lot in boxing and he deserves it, and I'm glad for him, okay? Even though I'm not so glad that, Spence is ducking Crawford again, but, hey, maybe he's, this might be a situation where he's jumping out of the frying pan into the fire with Ugas, okay? So we'll see how it's going to play out. But, yeah, it's just another duck by Spence again. And, the ducking continues with Spence, and the excuses from his fans, continue. They just, making all kind of excuses for this guy and his ducking, and, it is what it is. I mean, it's been going on for so long now. We should be used to it by now, okay? But it's all I can say is that I'm looking forward to the fight with Ugas. I want to see how Ugas is going to do against Spence. I think it's a great fight. I think that Ugas is going to do some work in there, and he might, like I said, he might surprise everybody. People that that thinking that he has no chance, because I mean, it's incredible how much. I mean, it's like Spence. If you were to go by the Blue Blood Sports and the Fan Boxing and the LDBC and all these Spence nut huggers out there, you would think that Ugas should just take his belt over to Spence's house and just give it to him and say, "See you later, Spence, man. I don't want to fight you because you're going to win anyway." These guys have it's like they're giving Ugas no chance whatsoever in this fight. None. Zero chances. Again, not ironically, this is why they're so happy, because those are the fights that they want to see Spence in. Fights where Spence could win all the time, like Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, all these fights that Spence had, nobody was picking those guys to beat Spence, okay? Spence was not an underdog in any of those fights, okay? He was the favorite in all of his fights, okay? So we know that beforehand he was going to win before the fight even happened, okay? The only person that gave him any real problems and trouble was Sean Porter, okay? But all the other fights, except for, Kell Brook. But Kell Brook was hurt. He was coming off an injury in that fight, and he wasn't even really ready to fight Spence yet. But, they pushed that fight and forced Brook to fight with an injury, coming off an injury. And we all saw what happened. He wasn't up to, plus he had to lose all that weight so fast. He took that fight in less than a year after that horrific injury that he had with Triple G, where he almost lost his eye, and had a broken eye socket. And after that horrific injury, he didn't get any tune-up. Nobody was asking, you don't hear Blue Blood Sports or Phantom Boxing saying, "Oh, well, Kell Brook needs a tune-up since he had such a horrific accident, against Triple G. He should get a tune-up before he fights Spence." No. They're if you listen to them, Brook wasn't even injured according to them. Okay, so this is the double standard that we have out here by these guys, these man fans, these nut huggers, and I guess it's gonna continue, So I guess we just it's just gonna have to be what it is. We can't these fans nowadays are quote unquote so-called fans. I mean, and these YouTube commentators, they're, I don't know. Boxing is on a downward spiral, it would look like now, even though we had some great fights recently. But again, let's see how this fight is going to shape up with Ugas and Spence. I don't know what it's going to do. It's going to be a pay-per-view fight, so we're going to see, Ugas is not exactly a big draw. and neither is Spence for that matter. Okay, I mean, relatively speaking. So in this fight, I don't know how good it's gonna do, but we'll see. It might surprise some people. Who knows? I'm sure they're gonna, massage the numbers when the numbers do come out, like they always do, and give us something. Tell us that Spence did 300,000 when he probably did 150 or 200. So who knows? But regardless of all of that, this fight is a good fight, and once this fight is over with, we're gonna see where Errol Spence is gonna do, what he's gonna do next. He's gonna, because as you know, right before this fight was announced from Errol Spence, when Crawford was hunting Errol Spence down, and his fan was getting desperate and they didn't know what to do, and Errol Spence wasn't responding, and everybody was getting like shaky and like saying, "Oh, well, Errol, where are you, Errol?" And all his fans was was really despondent, and they didn't know what to do. What did they do? They resurrected 60-40. Okay, all of a sudden we thought that 60-40 was dead, but all of a sudden it was resurrected like Jesus. Okay, and they brought out 60-40 and started spreading it all over the boxing land, all over the boxing universe. All we was hearing was, Crawford got to take 60-40. Okay, Crawford got to take 60-40 because Errol Spence. This is why Errol Spence was missing in action. Nobody was Crawford was calling him a punk ass, an old ass, and Spence wasn't responding. So these are Fadden and the Blue Blood Sports and the LDBC. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to respond because the people was calling for this fight and they wanted this fight. And they just all of a sudden they resurrected 60-40, and that was the narrative they was running with. He said he wants to fight Spence, but he doesn't want to take 60-40. Well, this fight can't happen then. The fight is not going to happen if he's not going to take 60-40, because he has to take 60-40 because Errol Spence is the big fish, and so if he's not going to take 60-40, he doesn't really want to fight. So you see what I'm saying? So this is the kind of nonsense that these guys are running. So when they realized that, it was looking bad for Spence because Crawford was under a hunt for him, calling him out all over the place, and he's not responding, they came up with 60-40 and said that they resurrected the 60-40, because that was dead for a while now, but they resurrected it and said that, oh, well, if Crawford is calling out Errol Spence, but if he's not going to accept 60-40, then what's the point of him calling Errol Spence out? He's just capping, okay? So this is the talking point they're running with, okay? I mean, these guys are amazing, man. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to watch how these guys do all these mental gymnastics, twisting and turning to make up all these excuses for Errol Spence, not wanting to fight Crawford, you know what I mean? So that was the talking point they came out with. The 60-40 was, resurrected, and they tried to use that. But now that Spence successfully escaped the Crawford fight and they fight Ugas, you don't hear nothing about that anymore. That's going to get buried again, until after the Ugas fight, when Crawford, if Spence wins, and then when they bring up Crawford fighting Spence next, because there's not going to be any excuses after the Ugas fight, okay? But believe you me, they're going to come up with something. They're going to bring back the 60-40 again. That's going to be the main talking point, because we see that that's what they're using. Every time they think that Crawford is getting too close to Spence, they bring up some, across the street, 60-40, 70-30, heavy lifting, leave your promoter. I mean, it's ridiculous. But this is what it is. So look for that, okay? Because you're going to see that. Now that Spence got a reprieve, it's almost like when they thought that Spence was gonna have to fight Crawford next, it was almost like he got a death sentence. Okay, it was it's almost like in court and he got a death sentence. And all these people are, oh no, oh no, he needs a tune-up. He can't just fight Crawford like that. He needs a tune-up. Okay, he can't. Now that he's fighting Ugas, all of a sudden the air just cleared up. It's sunshine again. Everybody's laughing and jumping around. Yeah. So this is where his fans are at now. They celebrate now because he don't have to fight Crawford. I mean, it is. Oh man, this is so entertaining. I love this. I just love watching what's going on and seeing how these guys like Bluebird Sports and Fannin and all these LDBC guys, how they respond. It's a funny thing to watch. I mean, I have a lot of fun with it. But fans, I just want to say this right now. I'm looking forward to this fight with Ugas and Spence, and you should too. And I think that Spence Ugas might surprise people. I don't necessarily think that it's a foregone conclusion that Spence is going to beat Ugas. I don't see it no way, shape, or form. I don't see that. Okay, I think it's going to be a 50-50 fight, and I think it's going to be a tough fight. Okay, I think Ugas is going to be up for this fight. I think he's going to be, I think he's going to rise to the occasion like he did with the Manny Pacquiao, and I think he's going to go in there and put up and give it his all. And I think that is, I think it's going to be it could be a difficult fight for Spence, and it's not out of the realms of possibility that Spence could actually lose this fight. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe he might need a tune-up for Ugas too, who knows? But he's not going to get one, though. So, I think that, the whole idea for them is that Ugas is going to be the tune-up for Crawford if that fight was going to, if that fight is going to happen, okay? So, we'll see how it plays out. If it plays out the way they think it's going to play out, okay? I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Ugas won this fight, okay? I think Spence is having a hard time making welterweight. I think he's forced himself. I think I think he's undisciplined when it comes to staying on weight, and when he's in between fights. I don't think he's a guy who stays in the gym like that. And I think he's having a hard time making welterweight. I don't think he's gonna be able to make it very much more. Maybe after this fight, and maybe if he fights Crawford after this fight, which I don't think he's gonna do. I think he's gonna fight Ugas, he's going to retire, or he's going to move up, and that's it. I don't think Errol Spence will ever step in the ring with a killer like Terence Crawford. It's just not going to happen. I just don't see it. But I'm hoping for it to happen, though. Hope springs eternal. We're going to keep hope alive, right? As Jesse Jackson say, keep hope alive. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave it here for now, okay? Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I got a new channel coming up that's out there now. The website is out there. It's called tbecombatsports.com, where I cover like MMA and UFC type stuff and Bellator and all of that. I just started that website. I just started the channel on YouTube as well, TBE Combat Sports. Go there and like and subscribe to the channel. I don't have a video up there yet, but you can still go there and like and subscribe. You know what I mean? So show some love. Go there, like and subscribe to TBE Combat Sports on YouTube. That's going to be my new channel. I'll be doing a lot of stuff there, covering MMA, UFC, and Bellator, and mixed martial arts. Okay, so yeah, again, like and subscribe to TBE Boxing. This is TBE saying that's all I have for right now. See you on the next one. I'm out.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.